Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Cornfield. On behalf of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and Alaska Public Media, welcome to another edition of Hangar Flying. My guest this evening is Jay Baldwin. Jay is the owner of Alaska Cub Training Specialists and specializes in off-airport and survival training. Welcome to Hangar Flying, Jay.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
So give us a brief history of your start in aviation and also what your company does and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, I'll give you a brief history, and it's sad but true. I started flying in 1971 in gliders. Got my first instructor rating in 75. Was in the military. I flew T-37s and T-33s, F-106s, ultimately F-16s on the fighter side. Took an airline job flying Boeing 727s and 747s. Ran a glider operation. Towed with some tail draggers, had some Cherokee Arrows and a bunch of other airplanes. I like to joke that I did a little bit of flying in lots of fields. Never flew a balloon or the space shuttle, but a little bit of dabbling everywhere in the middle. I moved to Alaska in 1997, and I'd almost been instructing 25 years then. I thought I knew a little bit about aviation and proceeded to wreck 2 Cubs within the next 5 years. And I had to admit to myself that, wow, maybe I didn't have all the answers. Maybe I had to re-examine everything I thought I knew about flying. And if I was going to continue to instruct and maybe even continue to fly in Alaska. And it's through that process of re-examination that we developed what we call survival flying. And we now teach that program not only to our clients that come to learn bush flying in Alaska, but to the state troopers, to people from all over the world that are interested in bush flying.
So can you teach judgment to, do you think, to people that don't have that experience, that come up here and want to fly a Super Cub, for instance, out in the bush, Alaska or whatever?
Yeah, I think one of the weaknesses of the current training that we do, or that has traditionally been used in the FAA and the practical test standards, is that a lot of times we let the instructor kind of direct a lot of the decision-making process. Our program virtually turns that upside down. When someone comes in on the very first day, we ask them, well, do you want to fly today? And we make them look outside and make some decisions with almost no flying experience whatsoever, perhaps. And on a rare occasion, we will, of course, trump that decision if it's a poor one. But generally speaking, we will let them, we'll go out there with an instructor and let them see why they made a poor decision. The point being that these types of decisions we only get 20 hours with our students, a dual. And so they need to have all the opportunity to make the good decisions while they're flight planning, while they're taxiing out. If they turn around and come back and say, you know what, I didn't realize it was those are the types of decisions we love to see.
So we just had a picture up on the screen. Maybe you can describe what that one is.
Yeah, that's just on our tours. We train pilots. In this case, I trained a bunch of Israeli pilots. And we're on tour around Alaska. And this is over in the Katmai. These guys have all demonstrated to me that they know what to do in a Super Cub. And then consequently, after a number of days, we'll pack up 4 Cubs and go on I think this one was actually a 10-day tour around the state of Alaska. They get to fly and demonstrate their newfound skills, and I get to sit in the back seat and enjoy the ride.
So here's another interesting looking picture. Maybe you can describe what's happening here.
One of the things we find is the training programs very often don't address the fact that in Alaska, many of our greatest runways are very slanted, beaches or bar ditches or some type of a slant to the terrain. And of course, down the Cook Inlet with our fabulous tides, 35, 40-foot switches, we have tons of beautiful places to land. However, it makes a huge difference, and this is one of the threats we want the people to recognize. It makes a huge difference whether there's an onshore breeze or an offshore breeze. An onshore breeze being your friend, and an offshore breeze being your worst nightmare. Here's a case where The client is practicing even though it's not much of an offshore breeze, they're practicing offshore technique by touching at the water's edge and then running up the beach with a slight turn to come to a stop at the top of the beach.
That's interesting. Well, folks, that's about all the time we have. We're going to have Jay back on our next program to finish his story. But a safety tip, make sure to update your emergency locator transmitter by installing the newer 406 ELT, and remember to file a flight plan. Also, if you deviate from your route of flight, let flight service know. It just could save your life. So thanks for watching, and fly safe.